Ransomware is a really big threat, and it's a big threat because ransoms get paid. If they weren't paid, it wouldn't be as lucrative for bad actors.
Yep.
So
Welcome to the CNL Podcast, where we dive deep into the minds of IT and security professionals to uncover their experiences, challenges, and best practices in today's ever-evolving tech landscape. I'm your host, Sedric Lusan, also known as your cyber expert. And today, I'm thrilled to welcome Petros Kachatrian, hopefully I said that right, Director of IT Employees Club of California. Thanks for joining us today, Petros. How are you doing?
good. Thanks for having me.
That's awesome. Hopefully, I said the name right again. I know I confirmed it you on camera right before, but I blanked right at the meeting again, of
No,
course, as always. But to kind of kick things off here, as usual here on the show, we like to dive into your personal background first. So could you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started in the world of IT?
I started off as a software developer. I used to work for a company working as a consultant, and I don't know, in the consulting industry, they basically pitch you as an expert to some
I
sort of
know.
technology.
Triple
Like,
your bill rate as well.
exactly. So it's like, hey, you have this client tomorrow and you're an expert on this. I'm like, oh, okay. So you go home, do your research, and basically through that experience, I've become like a generalist, jack of all
Mhm.
trades. And then now I work for this company called Employees Club of California, the director of IT over there. And recently, the Department of Labor issued some guidance back in 2020 when COVID was a thing and people were working like hybrid environments or remotely. And they're like, we need a cybersecurity expert. You should go get your CISSP. So now I'm a cybersecurity guy, but I still dabble in a lot of different things in the IT world.
Oh, definitely can resonate with that. So how'd you like the CISSP test when they gave you the palm scan and everything? It was pretty nerve-wracking, huh? Because I know when you got done with taking your exam, you really don't know if you passed or not because it just goes off, and then you have to wait until after that.
When I was preparing for that exam, they were saying like make sure you take a break like halfway in. And I was around like 90 questions in, and they're like, you have like 45 more minutes. I'm like, oh. But then luckily after I answered my 100th question, it just ended. I'm like, okay, I failed.
Yeah,
But then I
that's
found out I
that's what I
passed.
thought too. Because the questions are so confusing and worded in such a way where it really makes you double guess yourself. Second guess
Yeah.
yourself. But very fortunately, I got the pass notice. It looks like you did too.
Yes. Thankfully.
Oh, that's awesome. So, like, was there like a specific event that like drew you towards software? 'Cause I know you said you started off as a consultant on the software dev side. Was there a specific influence that inspired you to become a developer at first and then make that transition? Talk to me about how that happened.
Honestly, as a kid, I've always liked computers and I've always been like a gamer. I started off
Mhm.
playing like Counter-Strike 1.6, like way back in the day,
Hey,
really young. And it
talking my
just computers
language.
fascinated me. So when I went to school, I was in a computer engineering program. And
Mhm.
honestly, at some point, it felt a little bizarre because my friends in my circle who were also in the program, when they got
Mhm.
home, they went back and did more programming. When they finished their project or their homework, they did more programming. I wasn't that
Mhm.
way. I was more of like, I guess, a social butterfly. I don't know. I like hanging out with other people and going out a lot. So there was a time where I questioned, is this the right thing for me? But
Mhm.
because it's such a wide spectrum, I think you could always like hop between different types of sectors in IT. So it's
Mhm.
never boring. It evolves so quick. So it's like always like this learning curve, and there's like a knowledge gap that you always have to fill. So I think that in general is why it attracts me. But I'm like a full stack software developer at heart, but cybersecurity is still like a big part of my day.
I think when no matter what position you're in, it's a part of your day to just varying degrees. With that background as a full stack developer and having an understanding of what the different cybersecurity domains, that really gives you a leg up. And I can say that because I'm a full stack developer myself too, but I develop just for myself. But definitely having that technical competence, at least with programming, you understand how things really come together with all these
Mhm.
technologies, right? In IT in general, you should have an understanding, but you have an even deeper level as a previous software engineer. So, looking back what do you wish you would have known when you were starting out in your IT and cybersecurity career?
What would I wish to have known? It's hard to answer actually. I was never like nervous about what I needed to
Mhm.
know. I just sort of roll with the punches.
Which is
It
a great
have
skill.
Yeah, I guess it would have been nice to know, like people suffer from imposter syndrome all the time. I would have
Mhm.
liked to have give myself grace a lot sooner, just with all the different types of programming languages. Syntactically they're very different, but
Mhm.
I guess having the knowledge of one sort of helps you with everything, and that was
Yep.
always like overwhelming when I was like first starting out. Like, oh my god, like there's all these languages. Like, which one do I learn? It's just
Yep.
always nerve wracking. But just if you know one really well, you can transition to something else pretty easily.
Yep.
So just having that background knowledge, I guess, just knowing
I,
that it's going to be okay.
it's gonna be okay. You're never gonna know everything. I could definitely resonate with that because I mentor a lot of people in the field, and that's one thing I try to tell them is that you got to give yourself that grace. Because if you think that you have to remember every last thing, you're gonna get burnt out pretty quickly because you're never going to remember everything. There's always new things that are coming out, right? And the things that you learned yesterday or the weeks before might not actually be useful today. So it's about having the discipline to understand when you don't know something, go do your due diligence. Go look it up. Go look at the technical specifications. Go look at the actual write up of how this technology is to be used and how it should be used and all that good stuff. You know,
To double back
uh,
on that, actually, I I didn't realize until working like professionally with people all from all walks of life that Googling is like a skill.
it's a
Like
major skill, especially
it's
if you can Google dork. If you can use advanced search engine operators, you can find anything. And this is, as you know, the time before ChatGPT and these large language models sucked up everything on the internet. Googling is pretty, and any search engine and really any search engine is just being able to have those search engine skills to know how to use certain operands to find exactly what you need, like a common Google Doc in URL or in text or in title, being able to just use those specifications so you're not seeing a bunch of ads or things that are irrelevant. Or if you're looking for a specific like document that's a type PDF, using those types of operands in the search engine. Some people will never know until they actually are working on this side, but it's definitely a major
yeah.
skill set to have.
So when people
Right?
come up to me with like very basic things, like I can Google it for you. Like I try
Yeah.
to encourage people to do a little bit of the work before contacting me or IT
Yep.
in general.
Yeah, but that sometimes that's what actually moves the needle is us doing that Googling for them and just showing them how they could have found the answer next time. I'm a big proponent of that, like especially if one of my team members come to me with something that I know they could have figured out. I don't ever try to be condescending or anything, but I just walk them through my process on how I got to the answer they were seeking, and they come to the conclusion themselves. The light bulb goes off. Oh, I could have found that myself if I would have just took the time to actually search that up. But
Teaching how to fish.
exactly, exactly. And sometimes they may not know, and you're teaching them something new. So even when I'm looking for something specific, sometimes even if I'm not finding it, I'm looking up new ways to find other Google Dorks for say searching operands to find exactly what I need. So definitely can understand that. So can you talk to me a little bit about what does your current organization do over there at the Employees California Club?
So they're what's known as a voluntary employee benefits association.
Hmm.
So we work with municipal employees. Like if you work for the state of California or the city of Los Angeles, the DWP, we
Hmm.
basically have like a payroll deduction slot, and basically gives us access to their paycheck. Essentially, we're like a line item on their paycheck if they're a member of our association and they have different products through us, like insurances or whatnot. It's like a 401k deduction you see on your paycheck. We're one of those line items, and
Okay.
we have a bunch of different benefits, insurance products, like ticket discounts. Like we have the cheapest prices for any ticket you could think of, and if we don't, we reimburse you the difference if you happen to find something that's cheaper through like a fees
Nice.
back program or something.
You guys got a club out here in Florida I can join? I need one of those.
I'll let
uh,
them
prob-
know.
probably not. We probably don't pay enough taxes here. But definitely could see where those products can be useful. Especially, I go to a lot of sporting events and stuff like that, so if I get some discounts on tickets. But if I ever become a California employee, I'll definitely be hitting you guys up.
So that's funny you mentioned that, because if you go to like a StubHub or something, and you know how it's like they have crazy fees. Like we will reimburse you for those if you happen to use one of our pass-through portals. So
Okay,
like people can get like a $500 savings like immediately, and they only pay
yeah,
$7.50 a month. So it's
yeah,
amazing, and it's
that's
like it's a
awesome.
club. You know, we want to recognize all of the employees.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Well, I wish I could save on those fees because those fees can be hefty sometimes, especially and they vary. It's not even a flat fee nowadays. It's usually a percentage of whatever you're spending. So I definitely can understand that. So what does a typical day look like for you in your current role?
Get into work every morning. We have a 10 a.m. stand up with the IT personnel. We talk about what we worked on the day prior, on what we plan on working on that day, if we had any sort of things we needed to overcome. You know, loop people in who are can help. Essentially, any hurdles,
Hmm.
and then just, you know, meetings, emails, tickets, looking at like vulnerability assessment, finding low hanging fruit, doing some coding here and there for different initiatives. It's just my day. I can have an idea today of what I'm going to work on tomorrow, and that can quickly shift. So again, it's just different priorities driven by different departments, just trying to help fill the gaps wherever I can. It can be difficult at times because there's a specific thing I want to get done, and it's hard to turn off the noise every now
Yep.
and again because people, you know, heavily rely on me for various things. But it's also rewarding because after, you know, days of work, you feel like really accomplished.
Yep.
And so my day varies daily.
Yeah, I get that, and I hear you. That's usually the answer that I hear. And when people ask me, "Hey, what do I do every day?" I'm like, it depends on the day of the week. And it depends on what vulnerabilities got released, what 0 days. I might be working a ransomware engagement one week because I'm a consultant myself. I could be working a ransomware engagement. I can get hired to do ethical hacking engagement against a web application or a network or a mobile application or an IoT device. It really depends on the day of the week, right? And my priorities for that week might have been one client, but another client that is having a drop dead 911 fire that only I have the competency to go ahead and take care of. I'm switching gears and I got to go focus on that now and bring another team member up to speed to pick up my what I was working on. It's always a fun day in the life of a consultant. Always juggling things around, right? That never ending list of things to do. So I can definitely understand that. So with everything that's going on, like in this landscape, right? There's so many different changes and threats that are coming out every single day, new 0 days, right? How do you stay up to date with the ever evolving threat landscape?
I have like, I'm subscribed to some Reddit subreddits essentially.
Hmm.
There's like a podcast I listen to that has like daily updates and stuff. Some YouTube people I listen to. It's very hard. We also have like an MSP that we work with that, you
Hmm.
know, we'll have like a newsletter that will go out like once a week with new things to, you know, look out for. Like a recent one was like a RC, a critical vulnerability in Outlook. Like if you previewed the email, like they can
Yep.
remotely execute code on your machine.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy, right? You
yeah,
now you gotta worry about people not even reading the email that they just previewed it and it's RCE. It's like Microsoft.
I know,
the,
it's
the
crazy.
gift that keeps
So
on
I'm
giving.
like, no, I won't preview anything for a second. We're gonna run like a patch report to see if everyone has the patch from the latest Tuesday patch cycle.
Yeah, uh,
It's crazy.
but it's job security, right?
Exactly. And I don't even
So
have to do anything. It
yeah,
just doesn't. I don't have to press the button and turn everything off myself.
yeah, no, yeah, and that's the thing when I have leaders come to me and say, "How can we be 100% secure?" I say, "Turn it off completely. Just unplug it. Turn it off."
Yeah,
They will never ever be 100% secure. It's always a cat and mouse game where we're figuring out things that we didn't know retroactively, and then we got to go back and fix that. But we got to do our best to try to find it more proactively within the development life cycle earlier, right? The whole shift
sure.
left thing, but awesome. But as you stay up to date, Reddit posts, YouTube, newsletter, as well as some podcasts. Typically some of the things that I hear, I myself, I listen to a lot of podcasts. That's how I'm a 1.5 or 2x listener most of the time. trying to catch the daily news like on Cyberwire or 404 Media, something along those lines. I got a lot of different podcasts I like to listen to throughout the day just to have something in the background. I do get my daily news from the cybersecurity headlines. They've been pretty good, 5 minutes a day. They get you all caught up on the headlines for the day. And then I got other podcasts that dive a little bit deeper into some of the tradecraft that attackers are doing. So definitely can understand the way that you're going about things. And when I'm looking for the real underground stuff, I either go on the dark web, some different forums to see like, hey, what are the updates going on there, or Reddit, like how you said. Reddit is usually where I'll find some stuff that may have not hit the news cycle just yet, and then it get picks up later on. So I definitely can understand that. So, let's kind of switch gears thing here. So are you a one-man team over there, or are you leading a whole team? How What's that like? What's your situation
So
like over there?
yeah, so I'm leading a team, like half of which
Mm-hmm,
are like data entry, data quality people. So they have like
mm-hmm,
SQL knowledge and such. There's like one full-time developer, and we have another developer who's more legacy, but he manages the other full-time developer,
mm-hmm,
and he basically communicates requirements to him, and I basically oversee the whole thing. So I'm like almost like special ops. Like I try to come in and help wherever there's a gap. I do like special projects, like a whole website, like a bill pay portal. Like I'll do that from ground up, or like a portal where people can sign up for membership.
mm-hmm.
Basically things like that. We like different applications or services, like custom on machines, depending on what we need. So it just switches up every time. It just
Yeah.
depends.
I got you. I don't know many directors that are getting down in the weeds and they're actually building the portals as well from scratch. So definitely you're special ops. You're in the
I also
trenches
switch
with your
keyboards.
people. Definitely can feel that. So like with all the different responsibilities that you're juggling, how do you go about building, a security conscious team and culture there with everyone focused on different things?
Sure. It's funny because actually I'm going to be doing a training next week, company wide, just getting everyone up to speed, teaching them
Mhm.
about new attack vectors and what to be aware of. We use like a service called KnowBe4. They do like
I,
trainings. We also
yep.
have like internal phishing campaigns where people will message me and say, is this a scam? Like what is this? Like, oh, just click the phish alert button on Outlook, it'll report it, you'll get some credit. So
Yeah.
the internal phishing campaigns are really good. Training workshops that we do in house, really good. That's how I try to help. And the most helpful part, honestly, is that the leadership, the executives, like know how important it is.
They buy
So
in.
I have their buy-in, and they engage
That's
everyone.
awesome. Because without that, you're handicapped. You're just checking the box if you don't have buy-in from your leadership, because they don't won't understand or recognize the value that you're bringing to the table with the work that you're doing in that area. So that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Because I've been in situations where I can see that the IT folks and security folks that I'm working together with at an organization don't really have the buy-in from their leadership, and they're kind of relying on us to help articulate the risks that they're facing to get that buy-in when we come in, when they bring us in. So but that
I
sounds
can't
like
imagine.
you're off to the right start there. And to be honest, you really can imagine it if you think about it. Like, listen, a lot of people that I've dealt with in certain places, this is just my experience, right? They don't have the job because they fully qualified or understand what they're doing in the job, is because they're winner by default because other people left. Other people left. They were the top of their candidate pool at the time. Also, as well as business requirements change all the time, right? Because there's things that's always changing. Some people's skills, they just get stale because they're focused on other things, or they may not actually have the bandwidth to focus on developing their skills towards the areas where everyone's shifting. Like right now, what's the hottest skills that are in demand right now? AI, automation, still security orchestration. These things are going to only continue to be more relevant as we're talking about AI agents coming around and
Mhm.
doing a lot of the work. Whereas now it's transitioning from leveraging the AI to help streamline productivity to where we're now overseeing the AI do the work.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And what helps, honestly, is the fact that I report to the board directly. So if there's anything that if
That's
there's
awesome.
budget constraints or something, like I can sort of overrule that based on, my reporting to the board. Like this is absolutely necessary. So there's no biases from other executives sort of overriding things that I find that are necessary.
That's awesome. That's awesome because I've worked with a number of organizations where the reporting structure is like, hey, these findings that I'm reporting technically fall under your manager's purview, and I don't think your manager is going to articulate the level of risk the way it needs to be articulated for people to understand what you need to do. I just that conflict of interest there, right? So the fact that you don't have that conflict of interest is even better. So because as you like you just said, if there's any constraints, you can at least say you brought it up and you were either turned down or you were supported. That's just the simple fact of the matter. It's either they support you or they don't. And if they don't support you, you did your job, you made the case, that's all you can do. You do the best with what you can. So, with that being said, what's one piece of advice that you would give to other security leaders that you may be facing some of the same challenges that you're facing with the threats that you're seeing in your organization?
Other advice to other security leaders, like in terms of what exactly, like what issues?
In terms of some of the same challenges that you see that you're facing in your industry.
Okay.
Like
Advice.
typically when I ask that, I hear, hey, the biggest challenges that we're facing right now is phishing. Some people give me that
Mm,
generic answer. Some people say, hey, it's AI. My team, we're trying to get a grasp around where is AI being used, what SaaS products, what on-prem products, just trying to get a bearing and then seeing how that data is actually being used. Is it being used to train other models, things along those lines, and how do you establish a program around the governance? That's just me spitballing some of the things that
sure,
I've heard
sure.
previously when I've asked that question.
So, I mean, just make sure that you have a really, really strong foundation. If
The basics.
ransomware is a really big threat, uh, just and it's a big threat because ransoms get paid. If they weren't paid, it wouldn't be as lucrative for bad actors.
Yep.
So, the way to mitigate that is just have like a robust backup system and make sure that it's air gapped from your main network. So that way, if something does happen, you don't have to pay a ransom and you can spin it back up. Just make sure the attack vector is patched. Phishing, another big one. Those internal phishing campaigns are really important. Having some email security is a good way to mitigate that. A big one now, honestly, is cloud misconfiguration because we're in like a
buckets
hybrid work
exposed,
environment.
buckets exposed with a bunch of PII. I've seen it. I've seen it time and time again.
It's I guess it's new, so people are still trying to work out the kinks. It's not
Mhm.
really secure out of the box. You have to do some stuff. MFA, really big one. Just having that can stop a lot of different, automated attacks like brute forces. What else? A really simple one to do through like a group policy if you're like in the Windows domain is disabling autoplay on flash drives.
Oh,
I wouldn't be
oh
surprised.
yeah.
People pick flash drives, plug it in, and what happened?
It's funny. I think about some multiple engagements where we relied on that. And that's just allowed us to just insert our rubber ducky or whatever scripts we have preloaded onto that USB drive that looks benign, and a quick command prompt run, and boom, we got our back door already reaching out to us, reverse shell, just like that, because autoplay and all that stuff is allowed. Like you said, just at a high level though, the foundation, like you said, doing the basics, right? Before you start trying to get all fancy and worry about all the advanced threats, you got to first make sure that you've got your foundation in order, that no one can just kick the leg out from underneath you and everything falls and crumbles. But yeah, so definitely, so the basics, other piece of advice that you would give to the leaders is just making sure they're following the basic foundations. Can you tell me, like, hey, what's your philosophy when it comes to balancing innovation with security? I'll give you a specific example. Like, hey, we heard about DeepSeek come out a few weeks ago, and now we have a bunch of companies that just started rushing to putting their company data into it without actually vetting it first and understanding the ramifications of that.
It's unfortunate. I'm actually gonna be doing an AI workshop soon at my company, and I want to have spun up like our own LLM through like Olama or something, where it's
Hmm.
local, so you can
You
pull out
control.
the Ethernet cable and you can just use it. You have the large
Yep.
language model on there, and it's like you can use it like it's Google, and you don't even have to have internet. So that's
Yep.
I would advise people to use a private, LLM through like Olama or something. That's scary. I don't know. It's funny
Yeah.
you mentioned that. The other thing, sorry, again, what was the question?
Your philosophy when it comes to
Oh,
balancing innovation with security.
so it all honestly comes back to like risk appetite for me.
Hmm.
Anything that's like a high risk asset, make sure you have strong security controls. If it's a low risk asset and you're not too concerned if something gets exposed, then make it more streamlined and seamless through like user friendly SSO or something. Keep it very simple. So it just comes back to like a risk assessment. Like, is this high risk? Okay, we got to, hunker down and make sure that this is secure. Is it low risk? Can we afford if something like this gets out? Okay, let's make it streamlined and simple for the user and not overcomplicated. So it's at least more convenient for them.
Yeah. Because if you don't make it convenient for them, or you don't educate them on why they shouldn't be doing something, you know what they're gonna do. They're just gonna go around around whatever roadblocks you put up. And that's just the fact of the matter. When it comes down to that education piece and also making it easy for them, intuitive, and just again, they have to understand the risks of not doing something in the prescribed manner that you've laid out for them in that safe manner. So I can definitely understand that because these people are going to find the best way to do their jobs. They're trying to get their time back. They want to leverage AI. They want to be a little more productive, whether that be to help the company out even further or to help themselves out even further. You don't know, but you want to make sure at least you've set up an environment where they're doing things in a safe and secure manner, and you have visibility into that.
Definitely.
Let's kind of switch gears here again. So as far as like advice, right? What piece of advice would you give someone that's just starting out their journey into cybersecurity?
If they're just starting out, I'm not sponsored by ASC2 at all by any means, but I know they have a certification called the CC where
Yep.
anyone
The
from
free
all
one
walks
that
of
they're
life,
giving out. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
all walks of life, just come in, get the certification. You don't need this experience. You could be an accounting person and get
Hmm.
this. And it's a nice intro. I personally use a site called Hack the Box. They have like different training and workshops. If you just
Yep.
want to dabble and get into the industry and understand what it takes, there's like different modules, easy, intermediate, hard, and
Hmm.
you can just play with that. And my suggestion is do it often, maybe 30 minutes a day rather than doing it like 5 hours in one day. Just it's like a muscle.
Yep.
You have to build it up. And with anything in life, consistency is going to reward you.
Yep.
So I would say hack the box, and I would say try to get the CC.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, the CC. I wish they were giving out free certifications back when I was in the field, but mostly everyone had to pay for almost everything. But now there's a lot of different resources available, especially with free tiers that give you maybe minimal functionality, but it's enough to get the job done until you're able to commit to investing more into your career. And I definitely am a hack the box proponent. I don't do it as much now anymore because I'm literally hacking networks every single week, but when I need a continuing professional education for my CISSP, I go knock a few boxes out on Hack the Box since they give me credit for that. Oh, if you didn't know
Same.
about that, they do. Yeah, so it's always a fun way to get my credits instead of master class or something like that. I'm actually hands on keyboard, sharpening my skills and seeing what this other person set up in this box for me to work through. It's always like a puzzle, right? So you always got to figuring it out. But sites like Hack the Box again, that's great. Try Hack Me. There's a lot of other sites too, but those are just some of the sites that are more well known. What do you believe that there's any trends or technologies that are going to shape the future of cybersecurity? Like for me, it's AI. Like I'm all in the Kool-Aid because the things that it used to take me to develop, especially malware that I would develop to help me out on engagements, I leverage Anthropic, Claude to help me develop like that. And it's very, very code smart, especially that model. I use OpenAI's models every now and then for some bash scripting and Python scripting for certain things, but I feel like it's the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, I use both too. I'm on Anthropic and OpenAI as well. The trends, it's again like you mentioned it, cat and mouse. AI. It's a great for defensive, but it's also really great for offensive. Bad actors are
Yep.
going to leverage it, sophisticated attacks, and honestly, the trend I see is the industry has always been reacting, but through AI, I think it's going to be more predicting. So there's going to be like a shift, which is really nice. At the end of the day, I feel like, bad actors, that's what they're spending all their time on, trying to figure out, new ways. Like every time there's a new patch cycle, they're looking for vulnerabilities. Anytime there's like a new software, like the SolarWinds that you mentioned or whatnot, they're just all in on that. So
Yeah. I definitely feel you like with the power of large language models, what we can do now with it, like doing predictive analysis or machine learning and learning not only just establishing the baselines of whatever data sets that you're monitoring or whatever. There's a lot of capabilities that we have yet to fully explore because it's still so new, right? But I definitely see that shift that you're talking about because I have certain tools that are starting to leverage these large language models in several different capacities, whether that be predictive analysis or just with helping streamline remediation, giving you the exact syntax based on the stack that you're using. If you want to fix this to Go, you want to fix this in Python, you want to fix this in Root, whatever the case may be, you want to fix this in Terraform. We'll give you the YAML code. Like it's really the possibilities are endless. So I'm always excited to see any platform that's like leveraging it in a secure way that just streamline things. Just as simple as like when you have a Jira ticket, right? And you're like, oh, I got to explain. I'm creating this Jira ticket for someone else. I need to explain this in a clear manner with a way that they're going to understand it. Like Atlassian has the improve issue description, suggest subtasks now based on what you're trying to do. So all the things that you used to have to think of that you needed to do, like you can now leverage AI to help streamline that whole thing. But again, you don't want to rely on it 100%, but you use it as a tool, not as a replacement.
sure, sure.
But
The Internet of Things also too, just
oh yeah,
scary. Like
yep.
most of those devices don't have like security features built in, and then it gives you access to the main network.
Everything. Yep, the whole network. Like for example, Target when Target got breached years ago, and they all the credit card numbers that they were processing through their POS systems that came in through a third party HVAC system, right? So you think about it, you got to think about the devices you have connected onto your network and their connections outbound to the world. And if there's your vendor's security posture is lacking, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So if your vendor lets someone in, like you don't even have visibility into what's going on that stack until after the fact for your other checkpoints that are in on your network. Especially if you have third-party devices on your network that have radio connections outbound to 4G, 5G towers that are facilitating communication. You're not the telecommunications provider, so you don't even have insight into the destination, the source and destination traffic that's coming back and forth. And even then, if you were the telecommunications, you only have a limited insight. And you, as the end organization that's the customer of said product, you're completely in the dark and you don't find things out until later down the line after a forensic
After it
investigation.
happens.
So
And it
it
sucks
really,
because the onus is on you. I mean, you
it
were
really
supposed to
is.
have done your due diligence and make sure that everything was kosher.
Yeah, but sometimes people look at you like the guy with with a tinfoil hat on because you're asking questions about all these benign devices, and they're like, "Why are you worried about that? You need to worry about like our security." Well, this is our security, and all these attacks that have been stemmed from third-party devices and supply chain attacks, people are realizing and opening up. Like how you said, SolarWinds, that's just one. Even though SolarWinds wasn't an IoT, but it's still supply chain, right? You
Mhm.
hack the supplier. Anybody who is using that supplier is now downstream at risk. So,
Or just human error, CrowdStrike.
oh yeah, that was just an IT QA blunder. But we'll leave it at that. Hopefully, you weren't too affected by that. But yeah, I had clients that were just all over the place because they had the truck roll to everywhere, and some of these sites are remote, and you're not you need you're at a blue screen of death. You're gonna drive whatever amount of time it takes to get to that site or to get some manpower out there to address the issue. Like that stuff is like, yeah, that's just unacceptable. But hey, the way they at least they responded and helped out after the fact was good to see. So, quick question. So, you said you transitioned from software development into IT and cybersecurity. What do you feel like is Let me not say, let me rephrase it. What's one piece of advice that you would give to those that are transitioning into cybersecurity from other fields like you did?
Don't do it. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, we
If you
got
love
one
your
already.
sleep,
Just
don't do
Grace.
it.
Hey,
It's the advice I'd give is stick to the fundamental. Oh, I guess if you're trying to transition into it, pick something specific that
hmm
you think you'd be interested in and focus on that. And I feel like the rest will come naturally
yep,
over time. And then just be a specialist in that one thing. Usually they suggest like starting out as like a service desk person, doing like handling tickets, and then you eventually evolve. It's nice to
yep,
have like that foundational background of like how, like a sysadmin essentially,
yep.
and building up from there. So I would say, don't have an ego when you're just starting out. You should start small and start from the beginning and then work your way up. And like, if that's what you truly want to get into, I feel like that would be the best way. Luckily for me, when I was in school, I had like a sysadmin job, and it gave me like that background
That's
knowledge of
awesome.
how like Linux systems work. I have, different knowledge of different flavors of Linux. So that helps. And everything sort of comes together at some point, like no different than how the real world works. Like you might be in IT, but having some psychology knowledge is very important, or sociology knowledge. Like
Mm.
everything's, comes back to the same thing. Everything's builds off each other. So just being like having a wide array of knowledge would help as well.
That's fair. That's fair. I can definitely agree with that. And the sysadmin, being able to build your foundation, especially with sysadmin while you're in school, that's definitely a leg up, because I have some students that they're fresh out of school, specialization in IT and cybersecurity. And I asked them, how would they go about spinning up a VM? And they can't even explain that process, whether that be in their own hypervisor or in the cloud. It's like, we've got some things to work on here, especially if you're looking to go after a role with the responsibilities that you're looking to go after. You got to have that basics. And sometimes you got to build that foundation through the help desk and through sysadmin work. And, some people try to lay it out as like grunt work, but in reality, that's the foundation for your the rest of your career. So,
Definitely.
like you said, picking some one thing and focusing on learning what it takes to do that one thing, everything else will fall into place. I think a lot of people fall victim to the shiny object syndrome. I say that a lot, where they're just constantly looking at the next newest and latest and greatest thing and just trying to figure out, how do they do this? How do they do that? But lose sight of what was the end goal at the end of the tunnel. And if those
I
things that
totally
you're
agree.
trying to learn don't align with what you had in mind at the end of the tunnel, then you're constantly you're stuck in the purgatory. You're moving wherever the wind takes you.
Exactly.
Uh,
No, I totally agree.
but that's a great take on that. So but when you're not fighting cyber threats, right? What do you enjoy doing for fun? You like to touch grass and play sports, or what do you like to do?
I like playing basketball. I
Oh,
like
you
playing
hoop.
games.
Okay.
Yeah. I play games like these days, it's like League of Legends or Valorant or Marvel Rivals is the new thing that I play.
Okay.
Going out, I'm a husband. I have a 3-year-old and a baby on the way. So I like spending a lot of
Congrats.
time with my family. I can't stress enough at work that like my priority is my personal life. Like work comes second. It's not my priority. So
Got you. Yep.
people are at ease on my team because they feel like they can take time off, and
hmm
they're not gonna be like punished or something. Like I always tell people, like, make sure you do a lot of self-care. You're taking care of yourself. Make sure your glass is full,
Yep.
because if you come into work and your glass isn't full, then what are
It's
you
gonna come
doing?
out
You're
in your
not.
work product. Yeah. You're gonna see
Yeah.
that. Yep.
So
I'm
take
always
care of yourself.
I try to always encourage any of my team members to always have that half glass full mentality versus half glass empty. Because there's always going to be things in life that's going to pull and distract from you and whatnot. But just making sure, like you said, taking care of yourself first off, the self care, you do that, everything else should fall into place. But that's awesome. So you hope, play video games, big family guy. It's awesome to hear. When I'm not behind the
Travel.
keyboard, I'm the same way. I like to be with the family. I like to just not look at anything that's emitting any blue light at all, since I look at screens all day long. If I do game, it's like Call of Duty multiplayer. I really don't do Warzone a lot. I've always been a team deathmatch free for all kind of guy.
Same. I've
My
never played a game on campaign mode. It's always
Yeah,
multiplayer. It's always
yeah,
competitive.
yeah. Since seventh grade for me, been falling out in COD for quite some time. I'm a Halo guy. I used to play a lot of Halo. I was MLG back in the day. Those were the days. But now you catch me just behind doing more research now. When I do have the time, I try to find any 0 days and try to help build my brand. That's primarily what I do, ethical hacking. But when I'm not doing that, father, husband, same thing. You're just trying to be there for the family, touching grass and help bring up my next generation. And also, I fight professionally. I don't know if you saw that before, but I'm a professional MMA fighter. I'm chasing UFC gold dreams as well. So that's to come.
Oh, that's awesome. I've actually wanted to get into like some sort of like jujitsu or something,
Well,
just
you have
because
to. You have to. I'm
I,
about to be a
yeah.
brown belt, and I've been in 12 years total training, but 7 years really fully focused without my hiatus. And honestly, it's helped me out like with just different things in life, just the camaraderie, the environment, just overall, it's positively reinforced every other area of my life.
Mm.
And
My
I used to struggle a
biggest thing
lot with
for
imposter
me,
syndrome.
yeah, the biggest thing for me is probably, I guess, being in shape, but also like managing
Mhm.
stress. Like you
Yep.
basically go and get all your stress out, and then you come home and you're relaxed and you're calm. That's like
Yeah.
something I feel like I need because of, how inundated you can be with all sorts of cyber threats and all sorts of concerns. But
Yep.
I need to definitely do it.
Yeah, man. Because it's funny you say that. Because my sensei, David Lawson, I forgot. I'm paraphrasing here now, but he said when you come in here and you train, all the stresses of the day they melt away. Because how big is that report that you were supposed to get done when you got someone who's trying to actively break your arm, choke you out, do all these things? You don't think about none of those things. You're focused in the moment, and that's one of the things where I realized that's why I love jujitsu because it forces me to be present, especially in this world where there's so many distractions, especially with technology, social media. Just being present is just one of the things that we're starting to see more rare and rare, where people, their attention, they may be here one place, but their attention is somewhere completely else. Whether that be even if they have a piece of technology in front of them, they might just be spaced out in their own thoughts, life just going on. But when you're in that jujitsu class, you can't think about nothing. You can think about something else, but you're gonna be at a disadvantage versus to someone who's fully focused on taking you out right now.
Hurting you.
But definitely feel that. Well, that's awesome. Hopefully you do get into some, and if you do, man, definitely let me know. What part of California are you in? Because
Los
our gym,
Angeles.
you're in Los Angeles. So I would say I'm this is biased. Look for a Caesar Gracie based gym out there, and if you'd like, I can give you a referral to some because my lineage is based out of Caesar Gracie, and Caesar Gracie is California. The Nick
Hmm.
Diaz era. I don't know if you watch UFC or
Hmm.
you know
Hmm.
who they are, but you know about the Stockton slap and all that. All right. But yeah, they got some good clubs over there. I would definitely say check them out since they're in my family of lineage for jiu-jitsu, and they're definitely pretty much any jiu-jitsu gym. Most gyms nowadays they're pretty reputable. Just do your research to see what lineage they come from. Make sure you're learning from the right people, and you check out the vibes. Like you feel the vibes out. Like is this a macho man bravado type gym, or is this a family oriented type gym where ego is not really a thing here? We're all here to just better and get better and help each other out achieve the goals that we have. I think that's really the biggest thing. Is just being able to find a gym that fits your style.
I hear you. Okay, Caesar Gracie. I'm gonna look for it.
Yeah. So any jiu-jitsu gym you talk to them and say, hey, what lineage do you guys come from? Are you under Caesar Gracie or they'll name one of them because almost everyone is coming from some type of Gracie. They've entrepreneurialized and slash monopolized jujitsu in America. But I'll leave it at that before I have a bunch of jujitsu people reach out to me on the web when this gets posted.
I
But
remember those old Royce Gracie videos where he would never let go of someone tapping, and I always hated that. So I don't know. Maybe
yeah,
I need to avoid Gracies because I
yeah,
don't want
no,
someone
no,
like
no, no,
tearing
not
my
everyone's
ACL or
like that.
breaking my
Yeah,
arm.
no, it's not. Yeah, no, it's not mostly everywhere is not like that. Yeah, no, that's just those old school videos that people got scared of. But yeah, you'll be all right, Petros. But hey, man, I just want to say thank you again for coming on the show and sharing your incredible insights and experience with us today. It really has been a pleasure. For our listeners, they can where can they find you if they want to connect with you online? LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me there.
Okay,
That's probably the
fair
best
enough.
place.
I know we connected not too long ago, but yeah, for our listeners that would like to connect with Petros online, you can look Petros up on LinkedIn. And for any new listeners, please don't forget to subscribe to CNL Podcast for more conversations with IT and security leaders like Petros. Until next time, stay safe, stay secure.